So hi, I'm Henry Motte-Muñoz, founder of Edukasyon.ph, which is the largest Gen Z platform in the Philippines, helping students figure out their future. I've been working with Edukasyon for the last 5 years. And so when I came to Manila, I was doing my MBA in the US, and I spent a summer setting up an anti-corruption NGO. But, and as I was working on that, I was looking at different social issues in the Philippines. There's obviously a lot to choose from, but education kind of resonated for a couple of reasons. I think one was a lot of the issues that we were seeing in the country often stemmed from education. And so it felt like if you could fix education or if you could improve education outcomes, you could actually improve with regards to health, with regards to the environment, with regards to safety, with regards to strengthening democracy. And so education really felt kind of like the root issue that I wanted to deal with. I think that's number one. I think number two was, it resonated very strongly with me. A marketing professor once told me, change systems more than mindsets. And so I was looking for an area where the mindset was already aligned. And I think, in education in the Philippines, it's so ingrained in our culture that education matters that there's no convincing to do. We don't have to go around convincing people that education matters. It's already deeply ingrained in the Philippines. And so that's what I found quite attractive. So when we launched, the idea was to fix the funnel. And 5 years in, that's still what we're trying to work on. In the long run, well, actually, hopefully, even in the medium or short run, we want to change the shape of the funnel. We want to make the education to employment path to be one for the majority, not the minority. We want every student to have a chance at basically getting the education that they deserve so that they can get the job that they want. Work too much. Sorry, half kidding. No, so I think one thing you have to accept is when you work in a startup, you will work very long hours. And it's very stressful work because things are always changing. So I would say the work culture at Edukasyon it's pretty flat. So in terms of hierarchy, we basically have 2 levels, which is senior and not so senior. There's not that much hierarchy. There's not sir, ma'am, it's everyone's on a first name basis. Everyone can message me and I can message everyone. And it's a very flat, agile, non-bureaucratic culture. It's one where we work quite hard. So everyone puts in long hours, myself included. And I would say it's a culture where we really try to have what's called radical candor, which is when you communicate, it's a really great framework, which is you communicate in a way that's direct, but where you care about the other person. So, we don't go for the more traditional, very polite, saving face, indirect communication style. That's, I think, quite prevalent in the Philippines. We're very direct. I'd say it's not for everyone. I think there should be zero shame in saying that it's not for you. There's amazing opportunities in corporate, in consulting, in finance, in government and NGOs. So I think it's more about finding out if the work style of a startup fits with you, right? So if you're comfortable with uncertainty and you think you grow in uncertain, basically when you're out of your comfort zone, a startup is a great place to be in. Because there is no 2 days in a row that are the same. I've been doing this for 5 years. I can't tell you what next week is going to be like. I have a fancy calendar with little meetings and I think I know what next week is going to be about. But ask me a week from now and it's not going to be the week that I had planned for. But again, it's a personality thing. Some people thrive in uncertainty, other people get freaked out by it. So if you thrive, good. I think you should join a startup if you want to become multifaceted in your skills. This is not, I think it's very different from, say, if you join an accounting program and, you study accounting in undergrad and then you join a prestigious accounting firm and you do that kind of work for 3-4 years, you will come out with a very specialized skill set, which is very valuable. In a startup, you rarely specialize. So many roles require wearing 2 or 3 hats. We have people in the team that are now in like their 4th job description almost in less than a year and a half. But they're the ones asking for it, because it's always whenever there's another problem, you just go and try to fix it. So if you enjoy being a little bit of a jack of all trades, being a bit of a generalist, then I think you'll enjoy working in a startup. Number 1 is that ideas are cheap, execution is everything. And I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but it's very true. We were the 5th player to enter. Like, a website where people can look at schools is not the biggest innovation in the world. Like, people have been doing this for like 20 years abroad, and in the Philippines they were doing it for like 10 years by the time we arrived. And so ideas are cheap, execution is everything. I think that's number 1. Number 2 is understand that a lot of development happens in a linear fashion, not in like, people make decisions based on lines, not dots. So I think at the beginning I was very frustrated because, we'd like pitch to a client, pitch to an investor, try to hire an employee, and they would conversation would go well, but then it wouldn't push through. Employee wouldn't want to join, investor wouldn't invest, client wouldn't sign up with us. And I would get quite frustrated and impatient and be like, oh, but the meeting went so well, why aren't they working with us? But the reality is, people make decisions, right? It's a bit like dating. Just because you had one good date doesn't mean you want to get married and have 5 kids. And so it's a little bit the same when you're building your company. One meeting is lovely, but actually multiple positive interactions over time, that's the base on which people want to work with you. And so that's the advice I wish I had been given, because I would have understood earlier on that you have to be playing a long game. And then the third one I would say is the importance of grit and resilience. If at first you don't succeed, get up and try again, and the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time. I think we live in an age where people always share their successes, and Edukasyon is just as guilty of that as everyone else. What you don't see is it's an iceberg of failures under it, right? So every time you see us win an award, just so you know, we've applied to 9 others that we were rejected from. Every time we announce a new milestone, we had 2 other projects that flopped, and clients that didn't renew with us. So be comfortable with the fact that you will get rejected non-stop, and accept it as part of the process. Don't get lazy about execution, right? Never take things personally. No is just an opportunity to learn. It should never be an opportunity for you to feel bad about yourself or bad about the company. Every no comes with a nugget of wisdom, a nugget of advice. If you're interested in knowing more about tech entrepreneurship, join BYTE, One Big Bite.